Good evening, and welcome back to Bloodstone, a 5th edition D&D campaign set in the Forgotten Realms. I am your dungeon master, 8BitPonies, and I have with me 4 of the 5 members of our intrepid group of adventurers, the Companion Protectors. How's it going, fellas?
Great.
Fantastic.
Great. Draugg is not with us this evening, as you can see. He had some other commitments, some work things, some personal things. He's just not going to be with us today, and that's okay. We will soldier on in his absence. When last we left our intrepid group of adventurers, the party had come almost all completely back together. The 4, Eldrick, Thoros'l, Makaria, and Alanere, had finished their initial, investigation of the Oks manor, Oakheart, discovered some information, some secrets, perhaps, some clues in the mystery that they are continually chasing as to what is the deal with these stones, and how does it connect to the Oaks family and to Titus Oaks specifically. Sprout had returned to Heliogabalus after a brief sojourn to the north, in the company of Zaxiz, the undead beholder, and was left with an ultimatum to choose whether or not he would join forces with the Children of the Watchful and seek his ultimate redemption for his failure to save his people. Late in the evening, very early in the morning, the 3 members of the party left Oakheart, frustrated but with a bit more information than they had before, and returned to the Bloodstone Arms to continue their recuperation, I suppose, in preparation for the Baron Oaks reception party in 2 days on the 20th of Marpenoth. Each individual member of the party had their own sort of things they wanted to take care of, still entertaining and achieving their own pursuits while still in the city. Alanere was approached by a strange animal messenger and provided a message that he believed was from Queen Christine that was strangely at odds with what he had previously heard from the Queen. Makaria had commissioned the delivery of a large bathtub to her room, and a great deal of water, for what purposes as yet unknown. Sprout had locked himself away in his room, perhaps in quiet contemplation, perhaps hiding from the choice that he knows that he must make. Thoros'l had received a missive from an old friend, or perhaps an old will we call Pardic a friend? An old acquaintance, Pardic Wolfswift, also known as Pardic Talendar of Symbia, a one-time, we'll just say acquaintance, one-time acquaintance and traveling companion of the Companion Protectors, and the son of a bitter rival, or a bitter enemy, I suppose, of Eldrick. Presker Talendar, the man who Eldrick was arrested and sentenced to be executed for the murder of.
Yup.
Eldrick himself had decided to start a memoir, I guess, and had begun to solicit some pieces of information from various members of the household staff at Oakheart, including Master Durbin Holy, the steward, and his mother, all in the hopes of piecing together his own personal mystery, why his memories of a very life-defining event from his past are somewhat conflicted or somewhat challenged by some of his most recent experiences. We will pick up first, I suppose, with Alanere. We left with Alanere last time. We should begin with Alanere this time. Alanere, you have just arrived back at the Bloodstone Arms. It is close to noon. You have very recently sent an animal messenger in the form of a bird up to Palace Hill in the attempts to find Queen Christine and deliver to her your message. What are you, as you have returned back to your the inn itself, what is your plan for the remainder of this afternoon?
Well, mostly, Alanere, as soon as he kind of gets back in the inn, first thing you can do is see what they're serving for lunch, and basically scan the room to see if any of his companions are down in the common area.
Okay. I can say with some certainty that Makaria will not be in the common area. She's somewhat busy today, but would Thoros'l be found in the common room around noon today, or is he out taking care of his own business?
Well, let's see. It's the next day. I already sent my letter to what's his face, Talendar, right?
Correct. Yeah, you sent a letter back to him first thing this morning.
And then I haven't heard back.
And you have yet to hear back.
Okay. Then I'll dine lunch at the inn, and then I'll need to pick up some duds for the reception thing.
Understood. So
At some point.
Are you gonna head to Mauricio's?
Yeah, after lunch. Okay.
So then, Alanere, whenever you return back to the inn and reach the common room, you will find that Thoros'l is already mid feast or mid repast, I suppose. You can join him, and lunch is a fairly simple fare. You can always order something other than what is provided on the menu, but as with most of the restaurant type areas in Heliogabalus, the middle feast, I think, is what they refer to lunch, is very similar to what was provided to you at Oakhart last night. It's kind of a family style, more like a buffet sort of thing, where a good number of different dishes are laid out in the common room in a central location, and everyone there is able to just go and partake of it as they choose. So you can kind of choose what it is that you would like to have for your meal. But if there is something you are aware that it, given that you are a guest of the Baron Oaks, if there's something that you require that is not available or readily available, you can just ask.
Yeah, I mean, bucking the trend of running up a massive tab, he's just gonna basically pick it from what's there and not, have any special requests. So he'll just kind of pick from what's readily available.
Sure. So you can load yourself up with a modest portion of different types of foods and return to a table with your elven companion.
So what's new, Thoros'l?
Oh. It's been nice to relax, I guess. I'd like to get things moving. I know I've said that before, but I got a letter from Presker Talendar. The guy with the flying ship, I believe.
Pardic.
Yes.
Pardic. That guy. Wolf Swift.
I didn't think we would ever encounter him again.
I don't know.
What does he want?
It's unclear. But he wants to have lunch with me. I guess I have nothing else going on.
As you are listening to Thoros'l's words, Alanere, a whisper sounds in your mind. It is, in fact, a whisper, but it's a whisper of a voice that you have heard before. It's a very simple message. It says, "Messenger received. Situation changed. Palace compromised. Dangers everywhere. Meet in person but not in city. Safe house in Shadow Gap. Tavern called Shadow's Rest. Cellar. Midnight." And then the voice goes quiet.
So what's new with you, Alanere?
Okay, that was Shadow's Rest Tavern.
I just put the entirety of the message in the chat in Roll20.
Oh,
So it's
perfect.
all yours. There to go.
That is... Okay, Roll20. There we go. All right. Yeah, he'll be kind of focused on the message and probably have like a couple of second like pause. It almost seems for a second like he's straight up ignoring Thoros'l. Then he'll be like, "Sorry, what was that?"
What have you been up to? I guess is what I really want to know. What's been keeping you busy here in Heliogopolis?
Well, I've just more or less been trying to get the pulse of the city. It's unfortunately, the way I say it is either we got to make a move or our enemies will make a move. Someone will be moving.
I think a lot of things are moving right now, and we don't know what those pieces are. I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of good ideas going here, and this isn't really what I'm good at.
Being in the city isn't what I'm good at.
I've not really got along with cities myself.
Thoros'l, what really have you gotten along with? Because people aren't really your thing either.
It's true. Truthfully, I spend most of my time trying to figure out what to do next, if you can believe that. But in all seriousness, I spent some time here and there, different mercenary groups over the years. Don't stay long in those anyway.
So he'll kind of look down at Thoros'l's hand, that's missing a couple of fingers, and say, "What do you plan on doing about that?"
Lift his hand and kind of wiggle the fingers a little bit. It'll take some getting used to, but I think I'd like to keep it the way it is.
As a reminder, having all 5 fingers would be much more useful.
He'll gesture to his missing left ear and the scar. Said, I wouldn't call it a reminder, but I wouldn't want to cheapen the prize by recouping the cost.
I can appreciate that. I've kind of sensed a change in you since the whole ordeal with your daughter. You seem to have softened a little bit. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But one doing self-sacrifice to protect one's cub is a very natural part of the cycle.
There's still one more on my to-do list, but he'll have to wait. For now, I'm not used to owing somebody something. I owe Eldrick. I owe you. You guys put a lot on the line for me.
Also, you owe me nothing. We watch each other's backs. There's no taking tabs removing of a ledger. That.
Sure. Still, is there anything that's going on in the city that you need help with?
That I need help with? No. I've just been noticing odd things, very cult-like movements within the city. I just don't know if this city is safe.
Part of the Gold Cloaks pointed out that there might be maybe some human trafficking going on through the brothels, if that helps point to anything. I don't know how, in my time, that's not necessarily uncommon.
And this just may be me being unfamiliar with city life, who's in charge of really keeping the cities free of perversions like that? Keeping law and order.
I'm not super familiar with Heliogoblus.
You've both been here enough, been in the city enough to notice the frequent patrols of gold cloaked watchmen. You probably are familiar enough with the layout of the city to know that there are the 6 different districts, and each of the districts, 6 not counting the unofficial districts on the outside of the city, but the 6 urban districts each have their own sort of subset of the watch. They all report up to the burgomaster, and the burgomaster himself reports to the Golden Council, which is the council of guild masters and nobles that essentially administer the city.
I'm heading to Mauricio's shop later this afternoon. I don't know if he's in, but he may have weaseled himself onto that council by now, or at least know somebody who is, if you have questions.
I think it's less of questions of specific people rather than distrust. I just think who's ever been in charge of the city isn't doing a great job. Although part of me thinks that it might be intentional.
What makes you think that?
Let's just say birds tell me a lot of things.
Can both of you gentlemen let me know what your passive perception is?
You're about to be going bonkers. Mine's 20. What's your?
I think mine is the same, but let me double check.
I recall that yours is pretty high too, Alanere. I just don't have your character sheets in front of me.
Yes. Alanere's passive perception is also 20.
Okay. While you guys are having this conversation, there's a lot of movement through the tap room. The Bloodstone Arms is a very busy place. People coming in and out. It's a fairly large inn, and so at this time of day, there's generally a lot of people moving through the tap room specifically, or the main, I call it tap room, the kind of the main dining area and entertaining space. You see people of all walks of life, all shapes and sizes, but something catches your eye specifically, and Alanere, this is particularly poignant for you. You see a person walk in and walk up to the bar that you recognize, or you have recently seen. It is a halfling, smallish, even for a halfling, a little bit on the portly side, but he's wearing a somewhat familiar white robe. Harkens you back to just a couple of days ago when you saw a sextet of these white-robed figures striding through the city streets together.
Oh.
he seems to be having a very animated conversation with the barkeep, who during this part of the day is Marcus. Marcus is looking down at him like very dubiously, and the animated little fellow is like he's holding his arms out like he's trying to describe something very large, and he's very animated. He seems a little bit on the frustrated side. They both seem a little frustrated. Marcus is his eyes are kind of darting around the room, as though he's a little bit concerned about how this looks. And the little fellow seems to be kind of picking up on that and is exasperated that he's not getting what he's looking for. But that's it.
Alanere will kind of like a head tilt towards the white robed figure. Be like, you see that over there?
Yep.
That's one of the cult-like people that I saw walking around the city the other day. Although it's weird, he seems a bit more animated before. Like, there were 6 of them, all dressed the same, completely different races. They were all in lockstep, so it's weird seeing just the one by himself.
Let's go see what he wants. Let's go see what he wants. We got nothing else going on.
All right. Alanere will stand up and head over to the white robed halfling.
Okay, and Thoros'l will follow and stand behind that halfling, since I imagine Alanere going to his front to talk to him.
Okay, so you guys approach him at the bar while he's having a conversation, and you hear the little guy as you get a little bit closer. He's like, "You wouldn't be able to miss this one. He's like 9 foot tall and entirely covered in gray skin and red hair. I know he's here. I just want you to point me in his direction." And Marcus is like, "Sir, I'm sorry. I don't have the ability to discuss our clientele with outsiders. If your friend is here, then..." "Oh, hello. Just one moment, as I complete..." Marcus seems to notice the 2 of you coming. Just a moment, and I will complete with this guest and see to your needs presently. Sir,
Alanere
Go ahead.
Alanere will kind of hold up a hand and be like, "Marcus, if I may, I know of this individual. I can handle this."
The halfling turns to you. "Oh, hello. Fancy seeing you again. I'm looking for your friend."
Yes.
"The gray fellow?" "I didn't catch his name." "I didn't catch your name either."
You found... I never gave it. But are you convinced that my friend is your gray wanderer that you were looking for?
"That's right. You're the Gray Wanderer. That's what he was called. I didn't get his actual name, but it is very important that I find him. And I was told that he would be coming here. The fact that you're here suggests that I was perhaps right. And look at me. Look at my terrible manners. Dow!" And he holds out a small, pudgy hand toward you, and he kind of notices Thoros'l behind him. "Name's Dow. Can you help me? It's really important that I find your friend."
What do you want with your friend? What does you have?
"Well, that's a bit complicated, but I'm supposed to... I suppose the word is serve? I'm supposed to serve him. I'm his new servant. Dal Makito is my name." He's still holding out, like, hoping that you're going to take his hand.
Alanere will go ahead and take his hand.
He brightens up, a big smile splits his face. He's got this really long, not super long, but really bushy, curly, kind of sandy blonde hair. He's dressed in very simple, beneath his robes, he's dressed in very simple, kind of rough spun, just standard clothing. He does have kind of a bandolier, like a leather bandolier across his chest, but he has no weapons that you can see. He does have what looks like a little bit of a, since your passive perception is so high, he does have like a silver chain around his neck that kind of dips down into his shirt, like some kind of necklace or medallion or something that he's wearing. But he big, just huge green eyes, sandy blonde, curly hair, and just as you take his hand, he vigorously shakes it. Said, and your name is, sir?
My name is Alanere Nightsky.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Alanere Nightsky. Dal Makito, I suppose, new friend, new servant to your companion, the Grey Wanderer. Now that we're friends, would it be, I apologize, I'm so sorry, I get this wrong all the time, and he lets go of your hand and wheels on Thoros'l and thrusts a pudgy hand out at Thoros'l. Hello there, Dal Makito. Pleasure to meet you.
Thoros'l will put his hand on top of his hand and push it down slowly. I haven't seen...
Go ahead.
I haven't seen our friend in over a day. I'm not sure where he is.
Well, that's because he was out at the lair, for lack of a better term.
Lair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of us children of the Watchful. We're a bit of
Okay.
An obscure group, but we mean well, and your friend's gonna join. So it's really imperative that I locate him, so that I can begin, with the serving.
Yeah. Where was this lair at?
That's backwards, vamp, but it is a huge red flag.
Still read it. Yes.
Where did you say this lair was?
Oh, it's way off. You probably wouldn't know of it. It's intentionally hidden, to all of those who seek to find it, but aren't invited, I suppose. Very few of us. Well, I couldn't even say to know very truly for sure where it is, but your friend's been there. He was there most of the day yesterday, and we'd like for him to, eventually visit occasionally again, which is why I'm here.
Listen here, what was your name again?
You actually, my friends call me Muckleberry, so if you prefer, you can call me Muckleberry. My name's Dal, but my friends call me Muckleberry.
Dal, why don't you have a seat over here and grab a plate? Let me talk with my friend Alanere here.
Oh, don't mind if I do. Has been a bit of a journey this morning. I'm a bit peckish. Do drinks come with that plate of food?
Just tell him to put it on the Baron's tab. Get whatever you want.
The Baron's tab. Is that some kind of code? Are we talking in code?
Sure.
All right. He turns very cheerfully back to Marcus behind the bar. Put this on the Baron's tab, I suppose. And you said just right over here?
Yep.
He toddles off as you requested and goes and grabs a plate of food and starts heaping grabs a plate and starts heaping food items on top of it.
I'll pull Alanere aside out of his earshot and just say, well, this guy's fucking crazy. I don't know what's happening.
It's like a different personality. Like, before, when I talked to him, them, like the group, like they all spoke at the same time, like this far distant, almost like chanting type talk, like all in unison. Like, of course, not that kind of personality. Like, I see him, but it's like a different person.
Do you really think that Sprout went to some secret lair yesterday, somewhere that can't be found unless you're invited or some such?
I don't know. I haven't seen Sprout since like I think early yesterday morning.
Right.
By now, Dal has a plate in either hand, and somehow, impossibly, both of them are filled like several inches in height with food, and he's very clumsily but very carefully trying to make his way over to a table, and then he notices something else on one of the platters on the central table, and he very ponderously starts to turn back around to go get it.
So what's the game plan with this nutter here?
My best guess is to, tell him to just wait here in the common area, as is our companion is not taking guests at the moment. And when he's ready to, that he'll come down, and I guess at some point might come down. I don't know. He's kind of seemed aloof ever since we got to the city, and I haven't seen him 24 hours, so.
So we actually want this guy to meet up with Sprout, is what you're saying?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because apparently they met in a layer of what? Layers are never really good.
Well, he seems to think that Sprout came back here. Do you want to go check up on his room, or do you want me to? One of us should keep an eye on this guy.
I'll go ahead and keep an eye on him if you want to go up and discreetly go up. We don't want to give this guy actually an indication of where Sprout might be.
All right. Yeah, I'll head up. He seems pretty distracted.
By now, he's made his way to the table. He somehow has 3 plates that are filled just to the brim, and he is seemingly torn between which one he's going to dive into first. He sees Alanere start to head over in his direction, and he perks up and waves very broadly, big smile. He's like, "Hey, by the way, fella, would you mind grabbing me an ale from the bar? I've only got 2 hands here."
How are you supposed to be a servant to someone if someone needs to serve you?
Well, I suppose that's a very good point. Well, do you mind staying here and keeping an eye on me vittles while I go to the bar and get us a pair of drinks?
I'll make an exception. You just stay here and eat. I'll go grab a couple ales.
Very kind of you. Thanks very much. Nothing too heavy. It is only middle feast after all.
Yes. I'll make sure it's light.
All right. So Thoros'l's going to head upstairs to try to find Sprout. Because Draugg is not here, there is no answer at the door whenever you knock on Sprout's door. Whether that means he's not at home or he's just not answering, we'll leave up to Sprout. But for the time being, we'll go ahead and shift our attention at this point with Alanere downstairs with Dal and Thoros'l trying to raise Sprout in his room. We'll shift back over to about this same time, maybe a little bit earlier, at Oakhart, where Eldrick is mounting up with Kemet and Lars Narble. 3 horses have been saddled and are ready to go. They're not what you're used to, not war horses by any stretch of the imagination, just riding horses. But bedecked in Oaks finery and livery, and you are heading out through the gate and into the Rise District. Where is your intended destination, or your first intended destination?
Eldrick's destination is to... So he would know the city, which I do not. His first goal for the day is to go pick up some odds and ends, specifically to find out if he can get some plate armor fashioned and or fitted, and then a warhammer and a shield.
Okay.
Are his first objectives for the day. But he does want to, and this is the part where I say he knows the city better than I do. he does want to cause them to have to go kind of like halfway around the palace hill because he wants to kind of see the gates and maybe strike up a conversation with one of the guards at one of the gates.
Sure, that's eminently doable. So where you probably want to end up is somewhere in the purse district, as that's where a good portion of the artisans, the finer artisans are. Your smiths are probably going to be in Old Town and Dawngate, but where those types of things get sold, or the kinds of armor sellers that would be able to provide you with plate armor, we're probably going to be in the purse district. So you'd have to ride through the entirety of the rise in order to get over that direction. So you can go, unless you want to go down through Coinholm. Either way, you're traveling a good portion of the way across town, and you have plenty of opportunity to skirt the walls of Palace Hill to do that.
Coinholm is what, middle economics type area?
It's actually more of the upscale, kind of where the merchants' offices are. Most of the trading houses are there as well. Your importers, exporters, your shippers, for the most part. The purse is kind of the middle, the middle class area, whereas your Dawngate and your Old Town are sort of the older sections of town.
I got you. Well, we'll go through the north area, through the rise kind of area.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking if Coinholm was a little bit poorer area, maybe I'd catch some guards off guard by being the only noble coming up to him. But if that's not the case, then we'll just take the northern road.
Okay.
Or whatever direction it is.
As you were doing so, roll me, let's see, just an even or odd. Call it first, and then roll a d100 for even or odd.
I'm gonna say even because Eldrick is lawful.
Even it is.
Even it is.
As you are moving through the Rise district, getting closer to the to kind of the wall between Rise and Purse, you hear an upraised voice, not something that is unexpected or unheard of in Heliogopolis, but the sounds of a crier. You familiar with a town crier or a city crier? Shouting out various pieces of news or rumor, and you happen to catch a couple of things as you're riding past. One of the things, rumors are still circulating, alleging that there are bands of murderous brigands decimating entire villages throughout Morov. These rumors entirely false, says the Crown. The area around the ruins of the Peace of the Weeping God Sanitarium is still off limits to all, as is the entirety of Palace Hill. Palace Hill remains closed to the public and will be until further notice. Rumors have arisen that the missing Baron of Morov has been found and is at large within the city. Tensions between the nobles and the Crown are still mounting. And then more of the same, essentially. Things that are far less interesting to you, but more pieces of news that are being shared via crier.
Gotcha. It is only good for the country to know that. Yep. Nope. That's good. We'll ride on.
Okay. Riding on past. As you are reaching, well, you pass multiple patrols of guards, though on the Rise district during the daytime is considerably more sparse on its patrols, as it's the nicer side of town. It's not expected that the watch is necessarily needed on
most
active
families
patrol.
have their own.
Most of the noble families have their own house guard, and the more commercial sector, where Walls Around is, where Mauricio's shop is, most of the watchmen are concentrated around there, and they're more like static areas or static guard posts as opposed to watch patrols. But you still do see the occasional static guard post, and or maybe one or two over the course of your journey watch patrols. It's not until you get to the eastern side of the Rise where the gate between Purse and Palace Hill and the Rise. It's very similar to what's on the other side of town, at the Coinholm, the confluence of Coinholm Rise and Palace Hill. There's this section here in at where the three walls come together.
Yep.
That is a triune gate. And there are a number of guards that are posted out in front of that triune gate, and the two gates leading from Purse to Palace Hill and Rise to Palace Hill are in fact closed. First time you can recall ever having seen that.
Interesting. But I can still get through from the Rise to the Purse, or
That is correct. Yeah, that gate is still open, though there is a fairly large presence of watch that are standing basically at the gates themselves, and there's still a fairly sizable buildup of the citizenry that are coming up to the gates and they're not heckling or haranguing the guards, but they do seem to be very in kind of waves, in droves. They seem to be very put out that they are unable to reach Palace Hill for whatever purposes that they may have. Most of them look very well dressed, as though they belong there. They perhaps are people that may work in that district, government assistants and the like. But they are all turned away.
Gotcha. So looking at the Rise to Palace Hill gate, there's probably some guards that are like right in front of the gate, turning people away and whatnot. There's probably a guard captain there, I suspect, or sergeant or some such. Off to the, let's say, the right of that, are there any? Can I find some guards milling around over there that are maybe not like they're there to like react if needs be, but they're not necessarily like in the push of people?
There are static guards at the gates themselves, and the gate between Rise and Purse does have a small detachment there to man the gate and maintain order at the gates themselves. They're not specifically turning people away from the other gates. They're simply there to man the existing, the open gate.
I gotcha. I said that wrong. I meant Rise and Palace Hill. I'm looking to see if there's any guards that, like, if I'm walking up to them, they're not the people who are immediately being badgered by a bajillion people, but they still seem to be associated with that area.
Sure. Yeah.
If there's any like that.
You can find that. That's not an issue.
All right. Well, Eldrick's gonna ride up to that little group of guards. Not like right up on their faces, but he is gonna ride up visibly and then kind of hop off his horse and kind of walk over. Greetings, gentlemen. How fares you on this fine day?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. The gate is in fact closed today. You will have to come back at another time. The hill is off limits to all at this time, by order of the burgomaster.
Order of the burgomaster, you say?
That's correct. The order came down yesterday morning, and we've been given word that it will be rescinded by the burgomaster himself, and we are to turn away all who approach until that time. If you have business on the hill, it will unfortunately have to wait.
And if I have urgent business on the hill, would I speak with the burgomaster?
That is, it is possible you would perhaps send a message through his office. Our understanding is that the burgomaster is currently within the Hill District and is well, it's not exactly certain what it is that is going on in there, but the Burgomaster himself is unreachable directly. If you have an urgent message that must reach his ears, you can provide it to the guard captain in your district of residence, or through the guard office, and all messages will be disseminated through at the proper time.
And this is the I don't think we've met. My name's Eldrick. Who might you be, good sir?
Oh, quick name. It's a pleasure to meet you, Eldrick. My name is Vibjorn. I apologize, sir, but unless you, I really must ask that you move along. There's a great deal for us to do here with the gates being closed.
No, absolutely. I understand. I will probably need to speak with the burgomasters, or I guess with my local guard captain here in the Rise. Do you suspect that he's hard to get a hold of?
The Captain Berthold is. He should be in on station at the guard the watch headquarters at the Rise, which is just up the Street of Gold and to the west. If you require directions.
Certainly, I appreciate. And you don't have any idea why the castle's cordoned off. I had really hoped to get in to speak with the Queen, to let her know that I had returned to the city.
It is our understanding that the Queen will not be arriving in the city until the King's retinue.
Is that so?
Yes. The expectation is that the entire King's party will be arriving within 2 or 3 weeks for the celebration at the end of next month.
Excellent. Well, I guess I will have to inform them that I have arrived then. It was Verbold? Vertold? What was it again?
Vibjorn, sir.
Vibjorn. Very nice to meet you, Vibjorn. Have a good day and good luck with all this. This can't be an easy job.
Have a pleasant day, sir, and enjoy your time in our fair city.
Oh, absolutely. I'll only be here for a few more days before I return to Morov. Have a good day, sir. And Eldrick will return to his horse.
All right.
Well, he'll say to his 2 traveling companions, "Sounds like they don't want anybody to get in there. You 2 fine gentlemen wouldn't know anything about that, would you?"
Both of them kind of look back and forth at each other, then back to you, then back and forth at each other, and then it's Kemet that speaks up. And no, sir, this is this is not the first time we're hearing of it, but we haven't any idea. It's the damnedest thing, though we don't have any business on the hill, sir. It's though your lady mother may have some information on it. That's not something that she'd share with the likes of us.
Well, I suspect the nobility is likely to be more in the dark than perhaps rumor on the common foot, but that's all right. Let us head to the armorer, if you don't mind.
Okay. So we can hand wave unless you have specific things that you want to discuss with the armorer or the provisioner.
No, not particularly.
You can.
He's looking for. Yeah.
You can get the equipment, or at least put in an order for the equipment that you're requesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you just essentially just mark that off and expect that you will have it within a day or 2.
Yep, and I'll send you. It's just plate armor, warhammer, and a shield. So I'll send that over to you.
Not an issue.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know how long that's going to take. If you want to switch to the other guys, or do the next thing.
We can go to Makaria for a moment. Because Makaria is gonna be busy for, you said 12 hours. You had your whole thing going on for about 12 hours.
Straight 12 hours.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a
Straight 12.
bath.
We can go ahead and skip directly to the end of that. It will just say that Makaria is going to be, she's out of pocket for the entirety of the day. When did you start that, by the way? Would that have been after you had a little bit of a rest?
Yeah, so that would have been like, excuse me, that would have had to have been after the delivery, so like 9 or 10 o'clock. So, I mean, I'm going into the late evening.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, Makaria will be off table for the entirety of the day, but because of that, we know that she's not going to be bothered. We can go ahead and skip to the end of that, and if that's something that you want to share at this point in time.
Oh, whenever it actually arises, yes.
Okay.
I'll just let when it actually arises, yes.
Okay.
But I would like nope, never mind. I wouldn't be able to do that. So never mind. Nope, I'm casting.
All right. So we can have a conversation about the end of that particular process now, and that's not spoiling any surprises that you want to keep secret. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So then your 12-hour casting excuse me. Pardon me just a second, guys. Oh. Just need a quick drink. Throat got really dry with all that talk and
Hydrate,
accents.
hydrate.
Apologies again. Whew. That one hit me like a truck. So you spend a full 12 hours making preparations for your ritual, filling the bathtub with the water that was brought to you, using a different spell to freeze that water so that it's ice, and then adding the additional spell components so that you can affect the specific spell that you're attempting to cast. The entirety of that time, you are just in furious casting. It is a very powerful spell, something that you have, well, the likes of which you've only ever done once. Been a bit the other spell. Excuse me again. The other spell that you attempted that was a little bit more powerful than this one. It was far and above this, but this is still in its own right. It is a very, very powerful ritual. And it's not something that you have ever had the opportunity or the opportunity to do before. So it is strenuous. It is very difficult. Your nerves are racked the entire time that you're doing it, making sure that every incantation is correct, every line that you draw, every rune that you trace, everything is perfectly perfectly executed. So when you have completed this spell, you are almost more tired than you have ever been. But when you do, when the smoke clears, as it were, and you have completed the spell, you look down at the the circle at what you have completed, and there sits in excuse me, guys. I'm gonna have to take just a break, just a 2-minute break, and just kind of clear my throat. I'm gonna step off camera for just a minute, and I'm gonna take us to break so I can deal with this. I will be right back, and we'll pick this up in just a second. My apologies.
Sounds good.
I will be right back. And we are back. Thanks for the short break. Thanks for sticking with us. We will resume right where we left off. Think I'm okay now. I suppose we'll see. Hope so. Whew. Okay, so then we're back to Makaria. As you complete the spell and you feel the release of the magical energy and the spell is complete, you kind of very, very wearily, you open your eyes and you look around and you see that the tub itself is still present, but the contents of the tub have changed very significantly. Kind of lying in the tub where the frozen water and the other spell components were is a humanoid form. It is a very familiar looking humanoid form. It is nude, and there's you blink your eyes for a minute and go over and grab a candle or whatever it is that you're using for light. You get a little bit closer, and the reclining figure is just kind of laying on its back in the kind of slumped in the tub. There's something that's not quite right. The spell completed, and physically the representation or the figure looks, for the most part, exactly what you expected it would. It is a female tiefling, almost entirely identical to yourself. And when I say almost, her skin, rather than being kind of a reddish brown, is more dusky gray. Her hair is jet black, as are her horns, and as she opens her eyes for the first time, you can see that they are also jet black. But her skin is the first thing that kind of catches your eye, and as you get closer, she kind of starts to react somewhat to the light in the room as you've brought a little bit of light closer, and you can see that beneath her skin, it is definitely gray, but beneath her skin, many of her veins are very visible. They are livid, thick, and purple. It's a little bit unsettling, but otherwise, she looks perfect. Well, perfect if you consider your own visage perfect. She's just a shade grayer. She looks up at you as kind of her eyes start to adjust a little bit to the sudden increase in light. She kind of tilts her head a little bit, inquisitive.
Makaria reaches down and just puts her hand gently under her chin and just lifts and stares for a moment.
She is
just
ice cold
smiles.
to the touch.
It's okay. And she'll whisper that everything is okay.
Everything is okay, she repeats back.
Wonderful. Would you like to know your name?
My name? Yes. What is my name, please?
Maikara.
Maikara. Maikara. Maikara is my name. She looks up, locks eyes with you, unflinching, raises her hand to put it on yours as you still are kind of cupping her chin, gives you a gentle little squeeze of her hand on yours. I like it. Maikara.
Here, let's get you out of this tub. And let's get you dressed, and I believe we have a few things we're going to need to talk about. But we have a lot of time to take it slow.
Take it slow. We have a lot of things to talk about. We will...
And Makaria smiles, just smiles really big.
And Maikara smiles identically. You can see that her teeth, pearly white, razor sharp. We'll switch it back over to Eldrick for a moment. And so Eldrick, it's getting on in the afternoon by this point. Most of your time has been in travel. Took very little time to haggle with the armor seller, the weapon seller. Not a lot really to talk about there. But you have are you putting out there who you are? Are you making it very clear to people who you are, or are you just referring to yourself as Eldrick? People are noticing your clothing. People are you're muted, by the way. People are noticing your clothing and the emblems on it. So people you can expect that people probably know that you're associated with House Oaks. Whether or not the common folk have made the connection as to who you truly are. Unless you're pushing them in that direction, not a lot of people are probably going to make that connection.
With the people that Eldrick specifically stops to do business with, he's definitely going to introduce himself as Baron Eldrick Oks.
Okay.
Anybody else that he might randomly talk to, because he's a pretty gregarious dude, he's just going to introduce himself as Eldrick.
Got it. Okay, so that changes.
With the shopkeepers, he's definitely name dropping.
Changes some things a little bit with the shopkeepers. Then they're bowing and scraping, and for the most part, doing whatever they can do to endear themselves to you. There's a little bit of shock, perhaps a little bit of surprise whenever you introduce yourself that way, but that passes very, very quickly, and then people just want to be on your good side. So they are doing everything that they can to make sure that they give you the best possible experience in their shop or at their whatever. You get some really good deals. With the expectation that they know that you're good for it.
Absolutely.
But you essentially get everything that you want.
There is one other thing. While he's working with these, or speaking with these shopkeepers and personnel and whatnot, he is going to ask if there's any word about Morov that they've heard. Simply because he's been out of touch for a while, and he's not going to mention the rumor that he heard, but it definitely has him a little concerned.
All right, so one thing, if you're referring to the barony itself is Morov, like the entirety of the barony. The capital city of Morov is Morovar. So if you're asking about the barony at large,
the barony is Morov, right?
Correct.
Right, and the rumor was that there are bands of bandits traveling around Morov killing villagers. Yeah,
that is correct. Yes.
All right. Yeah. So he's asking about the barony, and if there's any rumors about the area.
Go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
Oh man, I'm terrible at those.
At advantage, because you're a baron.
Oh my. Okay, let me whip over. Oh, that's the wrong window. There are too many windows.
Too many windows.
/RD20 plus 10. Advantage, you say?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right, well, that'd be a 28. 18 on the die.
After their initial shock, people seem to be very, very comfortable talking to you. You don't get a lot more from them other than that they've heard similar rumors. But most of the people that you come across in just this very short amount of time, they're hearing the same kind of things that you are, and they believe the rumors to be true, despite the fact that the crown is and the government of the city is trying to downplay those rumors. There's only one person, and it's an assistant to the armorer who you're speaking with. It's a young lad by the name of, looking for the name, Iakovo. I'll put that in the chat as well, so we don't butcher the spelling.
Oh, I'm definitely butchering that spelling on purpose.
Iakovo.
Iago, gotcha.
For the people out there watching this is a thing that we've done for literally 20 years. I give a name, and then Souls immediately butchers that name, and it sticks. That whatever he says, then sticks.
No name will ever beat Jerichu. The only Pokemon to ever be in the game.
This is just what we do. So
Iakovo.
Iakovo. He's probably maybe 13, 14 years old. Is working as an assistant to the armorer that you're currently working with. Probably is doing some of the measurements and things like that. And as you're talking to the armorer is just kind of giving you back the rhetoric that I just told you about before. That they hear the same rumors. They don't know whether to believe that they're true, but they're more likely to believe that it is than to listen to what D&D's saying. D&D being the burgomaster. And because there's not really a whole lot of trust with the current administration or with the nobles or the council, or that anybody's got the right or the welfare of the common folk at heart. Once the smith leaves the room, Iakovo, kind of in a very timid way, he's I heard something about that. I don't know if it's true, but I talked to a man just maybe 5 days ago that he swears that his entire village just he didn't say it was bandits, but he said his entire village up north of the wood, Lakewood, up north of the Lakewood, just ain't there no more. Well, the buildings is there, but the people, they ain't there no more. All killed. I ain't saying it's bandits. He didn't say. He said he didn't think it was bandits, but there's. And about the time that he's about to finish, the armorer walks back in, and Iakovo clams right up. He doesn't say anymore.
Gotcha.
But that's about all you get, unless you press. That's about all you get from your initial journey into the Purse District, as far as tangible information, beyond just the repetition of the rumors that you've already heard.
Gotcha. Well, I've got a standing evening dinner with my mother and an evening telling silly childhood tales and such. So do I have time to make one more stop, or should I be heading back from where we are currently?
We can say that you've got one more. You got one more stop in you before you can. You got to start heading back home to make your dinner date. Where would you like to go?
Stop. So Eldrick needs to do some research on his faith. Specifically just some plot stuff to justify using Fine Steed. But there's a little bit of subterfuge that he wants to do while he's in the process of that. So if he can't spend maybe, let's say, an hour and a half doing this, it's probably something that'll have to keep for tomorrow.
If you're looking specifically for things things pertaining to the Ilmatari faith, you'd need to go to the temple, most likely. And that's all the way across the town. So that's not likely something you're going to get to today.
Gotcha. So that's a tomorrow thing then. Excellent. All right, then we'll head back.
Are you going to head back the same way, back the way that you came, or are you going to go through the Coin Home district to go home?
We are not going to go the same way. We are going to go through Coin Home because I want to talk to a different set of guards.
Okay. So you are you basically ride back toward the Palace Hill wall and start on your way kind of to the southwest, following along the wall to where you get the third of 3 of the triune gates would be at this location.
Gotcha.
And just like you can see, even approaching from a distance, you know, the avenues as you get closer and closer to Palace Hill, they're wider, and you essentially you get to a street that you can see all the way down. There's buildings lining either side, but you can see all the way down to where those gates are. You can see that the large gate from Purse into Palace Hill is closed, and that there's a number of guards. There's probably fewer people that are kind of clamoring around the gate at this time of day, just because we're starting to get to the point of the day that people are starting to kind of head, like they're expecting to head home. So anybody that would have been trying to get to Palace Hill for the work day, by now they're long gone.
Right. So the guards here on the gates to Palace Hill probably don't look quite as harried as the ones this morning.
Correct. What is your passive perception?
Oh, I'm sure it's like 2. 12. It is 12.
12.
So 10 plus 2.
Okay. So you're probably still 2 or 3 blocks away from the gate themselves. You can see the guards, you know, standing around the gate. You know, they're still in the distance, but you can still see that there's a guard presence. They're very distinctive, you know, with their helms and their golden cloaks and everything like that. You can see that they're not as thronged by the press of people as you were seeing earlier this morning. But as you begin to approach, there is a blast of what sounds like an alert horn or a watch horn that goes off, I don't know, maybe 15 feet away from you. And you're
Okay.
It's just you're kind of trotting down the street, or you're walking your horse down the street, you know, trying to people are making way for you for the most part because they don't want to get run over by a horse or by 3 horses. The Narbles are flanking you on either side. And you hear this blast, very, very loud blast of a horn just off to your left. And it startles your horse, and it startles the horses of the Narbles. I need you to make an animal handling check.
Animal handling. Fantastic. I am stellar at that. I am not stellar at that. That'll be a 16.
16. Okay, so the 16 is very good. You manage, you feel your horse begin to rear, and you immediately, you know, thinking of Hammond, you immediately, you know, put your hand on the back of the horse's head and just kind of hold on to the mane. You're not unseated. The Narbles, for their part, they seem to be doing fairly well as well. But your horse is definitely startled. It does rear up and leaves its feet, you know, its front hooves for at least a moment. You're struggling to try to get it under control, and you're whispering, you know, soothing things to it, and you're speaking in a very soothing voice, trying to get it back down. And you feel your horse jerk. And after you feel your horse jerk, you feel a line of burning pain along your neck, like on the right side. Your horse rears up, you're trying to get it under control, you get it back down, and you feel it jerk, and then only then you feel this line of pain as a crossbow bolt flies directly by your head and draws a line, just very nearly catches you in the neck, and scrapes down your neck and strikes your horse. Go ahead and make me a perception check. Reflexively.
Oh boy, I'm really good at that too. In that I am not. That'll be a 3 with a 1 on the die.
A natural 1.
Okay. Eldrick doesn't even take the chance to look around. He grabs the arrow, pulls it from his horse, and puts some points of lay on hands into the horse.
Okay. So as you feel this burning line of pain, it's kind of an after effect as this thing slices past you and strikes your horse just freaks out. It bolts, begins to bolt. You reach down, you like feel your neck, you're not even sure what exactly is going on, but you instinctively reach down and you pull out this crossbow bolt, and your horse just loses its mind. And even as you're starting to pump the healing into the horse to try to save its life, it is just bolting down the street. and you've lost control of your horse entirely, and it is just bolting, with you still on it, bolting up the street away from the offending pain. You realize,
Gotcha.
as you have done so, you pull the bolt out, and you realize that there is something attached to the bolt itself. It appears to be a piece of paper or a flyer or something like that, a large piece of paper that appears to have been either the bolt passed through and carried along, or was affixed to the bolt before it was fired. But you are riding breakneck down this street on the back of a panicked riding horse, with one hand in its mane and the other hand holding on to this crossbow bolt and looking, that's strange.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tuck the crossbow bolt into my belt and attempt to get control of my horse.
Okay, so go ahead and make me an animal handling check, this time at disadvantage. Actually, no. I'll take back the disadvantage because your instinct was to heal the horse. So the pain, the fact that it is maddened with pain will subside at about the time that you're trying to get it under control.
Gotcha. So what am I rolling here?
Just a straight up animal handling check.
Gotcha. We're just doing all the +2 rolls today. That'll be 7. So I'm having a moment.
Yeah. So let me see what the damage would have been to the horse. Not that it is an issue now. Okay, so you are able to. The damage wasn't all that bad. I'm rolling very poorly as well. The damage,
That kind of night.
the damage was mostly superficial. It just spooked the horse. It maybe got caught or maybe hit off of like the saddle or some kind of buckle or bolt and grazed the horse and stuck maybe in the harness rather than sticking into the horse's body itself. So you were able to, even with a 7, you didn't have much of a DC. It was going to be a small DC plus the damage. That you were able to get the horse under control, maybe a block or so down from where you started. The Narbles are trying desperately to catch up to you. People are just scattering because you just started galloping uncontrolled down this street.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead and make me an even or odd check. Just again call it even or odd.
Even, because again, lawful.
Even. You are very fortunate, very, very fortunate in that no one was injured by your mad dash. You startled a bunch of people. You maybe knocked some people down, but no one was injured in any real way, apart from maybe some scrapes and bruises, by your mad flight on horseback up the street. But the Narbles dart up to you, still trying to dodge the fleeing townsfolk. Baron, what happened? What was that? Are you okay? This is Cymryth. Swords come out.
I appear to be.
We have to get. The Lars says, "Oh, we have to get you to safety. We have to go now."
Let us do that. He's going to go where it is that they're leading, but he's going to take a look at that note while they're headed out.
All right, so Cymryth reaches over and grabs the reins of your horse, and Lars kind of falls in on the right side of the street. So both Cymryth and Lars are now to the right side of you, basically in file. Ostensibly, the bolt came from that side, so they are essentially putting themselves and their horses between you and whatever attacker may have been. And they dash you up the street towards the gates. You pull out the note that was affixed to the bolt. You can see that it is a very crumpled, very worn piece of parchment that just has writing all over it, scrawlings, mostly in red. It appears that it was maybe at one point in time a flyer or a broadsheet or something of that nature, but it has been completely defaced, and all over it, both sides are scrawled in very vivid red ink or red writing. Stop Eldrick in font, in a very, very uneven font. This is like it was just scrawled in every inch of this piece of paper by a madman. Stop Eldrick, all over it in red. It's very difficult to make out what was originally on the paper, just because the density of the red lettering. But that's what you see as you're looking at it. It's just stop Eldrick, stop Eldrick, stop Eldrick, stop Eldrick in livid red letters.
Interesting. Well,
we will stop there with Eldrick for the time being, and head back to the Bloodstone Arms as Thoros'l, you haven't had, unless you're going to take matters into your own hands and start beating down doors, you have not had any luck in raising Sprout this afternoon.
That's fine. I'm going to try that once, and then I'm going to head down and kind of get Alanere's attention and shake my head no, indicating that he's not up there or whatever, however he wants to interpret that. And then just kind of sit at the bar and watch if in case he needs me to intercede with this madman that has randomly walked up to us at the Bloodstone.
So for his part, Dal or Muckleberry, depending on what you decide, Alanere, as you return back to the table, and he very easily puts away 3 very large plates of food. It's almost to the point that you're wondering, okay, how much, like, pound for pound, he's probably eaten maybe a third or half of his body weight at this point in time. How is he putting all this away? Then you remember halfling. That's kind of their thing. That's what they do. But all the while, he's just kind of cheerfully, just kind of trying to chat you up. Nothing specific, just talking. So, your friend went up to try to find the Grey Wanderer, yeah? How long you been in the city? Do you live here?
No, I do not live here.
What is it exactly that you do, Mr. Alanere? You travel alongside the Grey Wanderer, so I suppose that makes you a bit of a wanderer too, eh?
A bit. I would say it's more closely or more accurate to say, what don't I do?
Do you think I'm sorry, I'm sure that what you were about to say was very interesting, but the thought struck me. Do you think green would be a good look for me? I mean, in the hair, it works for you. Let me just say, but do you think it'd work for me?
I think you should do what represents you.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what represents me. I'm thinking that maybe green might, but I think I might try it. Do you have a guy? How do you get that particular shade of green? Is it leaves? Is it berries of some kind?
It's how my hair is. I'm an elf.
You're just naturally green like that, like curtains and drapes too. Curtains and carpet?
Yeah. Well, it seems my friend has checked, and it seems as though the Grey Wanderer has not returned to this inn yet.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, I suppose that there's nothing to do but wait for him. Though, well, I haven't exactly. Well, don't have much anywhere to go. I'm not from the city. You don't suppose that maybe I could kick around with you and your very laconic companion over there until he gets back?
No, I'm afraid we have business that is, well, quite frankly, none of other people's.
Well, I understand. Yeah, no, that tracks. Well, it was real nice meeting you. And he puts his hand back out to shake, and if you take it, he clasps it with his other and gives you a really good hearty and firm handshake with both hands, kind of jostling the remains of dinner on the table. I really appreciate the meal and the companionship and the time. I have this sneaking feeling that we'll see each other again.
Quite possibly. If you have the coin, you can talk to Marcus over there at the counter, and I'm sure he could provide you with a room, assuming you have the coin needed.
Well, that's kind of the problem, is I'm a bit on the skint side at the moment. Let's just say that being a member of the Children of the Watchful don't pay so good. In material goods, spiritually, it's very worthwhile, but well, I just don't have much in the way of coin at the moment. But don't worry about old Muckleberry. I'll find a way to get through. There's some other hen in the area, not far from here, I think. Another couple burrows, and I might even have some kin nearby. So yeah, don't you worry about old me. You have a good rest of your day then, sir, and Mr. Alanere, and we'll be seeing you real soon. And he gets up.
Well, take care of yourself, Dal.
Will do, and you as well, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And if you see the Grey Wanderer, can I ask you a question? Does he have a name besides Grey Wanderer? I mean, it's a lot easier if I could just ask for him by name whenever I come back. Can you tell me that?
We call him Sprout. I don't know if that's his real name or not, but that is what we call him.
That's a funny name for such a big fella, because, a Sprout's a little thing, and he's very not a little thing. He's a big guy. Because he's real tall. Yeah, like 9 feet tall.
Yes, I get the joke.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much again, and I'll be taking my leave now. You have a great rest of your day, sir.
All right, and you as well.
So he gets up and starts to make his way out of the inn and stops by Thoros'l at the bar and gives you a merry wave and a smile. Talk to you later, sir. I apologize, I didn't catch your name before, but I will be seeing you again soon. Tell Sprout, and he gives you a wink, that I'm looking for him if you see him, and I'll be back for him just as soon as I possibly can. That means tomorrow.
Just watched him go.
All right then. We'll be seeing you. Have a great rest of your day, sir. And he merrily trots out through the door. Marcus lets out a relieved sigh that he didn't mean to let out, and he sees that you were there at the bar and that you heard, and he kind of gets a little bit red in the face and turns to busy himself elsewhere.
He doesn't need to be too embarrassed because the same sigh escapes Thoros'l.
So there's a moment as his embarrassment passes and he kind of makes eye contact with you again. There's like a shared kinship there just for an instant, and then he turns and goes back to work.
All right. Well, Alanere, I need to go and see Mauricio, or at least visit his shop, I guess. We're doing this party thing in a couple days. I tried to put it off for as long as I could.
I would say I wouldn't expect our day to get any weirder, but for some reason I just got this nagging feeling like it's going to.
Well, unless you have pressing business, maybe we should go together. You mentioned weird things happening in the city, and I wouldn't want to. I don't know. You're very capable, of course.
It's true. Here, it might be better to have safety in numbers.
Guys, I will be right back in just 1 minute. Go ahead with your conversation.
But
apparently that was the conversation.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the tail end before we headed out.
Yep.
Well, while you guys are walking, are you going to give him any deets about the situation, being that our man has stepped away for a second and we're still going?
No. I mean,
Nope, he's going in blind. Nice.
I'm just going to Mauricio's to get a, I don't know, like an overcoat or something, I imagine. So I plan on going fully armed and armored to your gala.
I suspect everybody plans to go fully armed and armored to the gala, including the assassins that apparently want to murder me.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to murder you.
Oh, no, I mean, I didn't think very many local people did.
Well, I mean, out of character, you did have a kind of crazy person looking for you in Morov not too long ago.
Right, but I thought I knew who that was, and it was a person who gave me a bunch of shit to help me. I didn't think it was somebody who's going to try to murder me.
It may be somebody, entirely different person that wants you dead. I don't know.
I very, very well think
that's
so.
true. Pardik's back in town. I mean,
No. This didn't say kill Eldrick Oks. Kill Eldrick. This said stop Eldrick. Like, this is this seems much more personal, a lot less clinical.
Oh,
you have technically escaped a couple death sentences.
Was it stop, Eldrick Oks?
Punctuation
Like,
matters.
Eldrick, stop, let's talk. Or stop Eldrick. Like, stop Eldrick.
I mean, a crossbow
Oaks.
bolt through my neck into my horse is a hell of a yoo-hoo. How you doing?
Oh, I mean, you are the master of your own actions, so maybe you need to stop yourself. This is a philosophical.
This is an intervention here.
All right. Well, let's slide back into.
That's an important question. Is there a comma on the note?
There is no comma.
Okay.
It's just all. There's
Anyway.
no punctuation at all. No exclamation points. No periods. No question marks. Nothing. Just stop Eldrick. That's 11 letters, over and over and over again.
Gotcha.
Is the N like bigger? Like the letters bigger? Like stop Eldrick?
No Oxford commas.
Eldrick, stop. Eldrick, stop. Maybe that's it.
Could be. It could be. As Soul said, though, it's a hell of a way to say hello. hey, by the way, stop. I'm going to shoot it at you in the head.
Interesting.
I gotta talk to you.
Well, all right then.
I think we decided we're going together.
You're going together to Mauricio's?
Yeah.
Okay. That's easily done. So, Alanere, you've been there once recently, so it's not very difficult for you to find. Of course, Thoros'l, I don't know if you've actually been there yourself or not, but with a guide, it's not very difficult for you guys to find. Takes you some time. You can get there. You find Thoros'l. You will find for the first time, and Alanere, you will recall upon making it there that Mauricio's Fine Clothier, which is now on the map here in the Walls Around district, the Walls Around neighborhood of the Rise district, is now run by an underling, not Mauricio, as Lord Mauricio has now taken residence in his own sort of, not exactly county, but his own lands north of the city in the Lakewood, in an area that he has named Oakland. But his second in command, a probably mid to late 20s woman named Arcana, is running his shop, and she will actually recognize you, Alanere, as you've been here very recently, and essentially go through the whole motions of, welcome back. Oh, I see you've brought a friend. This gentleman looking for some nice clothing as well. Oh, you are. That's great. What can we do to help you? Any friends of Mauricio or of Lord Esteban are friends of ours, and you are welcome and will be made comfortable here in Mauricio's Fine Clothiers. You can go through the whole motions of working with the tailor to find exactly what it is that you're looking for. And if you want to come up with that on the fly, or come up with that between now and the time that you attend the gala in a couple of days, so that you can cut a dramatic figure upon your entrance, you can do so at that point in time. So just take take the time and figure out what it is that you want them to create for you.
Sure.
Cost will be the same.
Do we know if we're going to be stripped of armor and arms when we go to the reception, or is that going to be an option? Do we know this?
It was not mentioned at all on the invitation that you received.
Okay.
But go ahead and what would this be? Maybe just a straight up charisma or intelligence. Charisma or intelligence check.
Okay. I'll do intelligence, so it's not a negative. A stunning 7.
Yeah, you have no idea. There's zero. You've never done a thing like this before. The only thing that you can maybe liken it to was the dinner with the Talendars. But you weren't even there at that point in time. You were a statue at the dinner with. No, you weren't. You were there. You were not allowed to take weapons into the Talendar's manor. So you would assume that there's a probability, is a more than zero probability that, given that you're going to be around kind of the cream of Damaran Bloodstone society, there's a likelihood that they're probably not going to let you have weapons.
Okay. I will. Is it possible for Mauricio's fine clothier to reinforce something like one of those fancy suits that are bulletproof, but like fantasy setting?
You want like a heavier cloak or something of that variety?
Yeah, something that provides a little extra protection in
sure.
vital areas.
We inspired by the great heroic works of Lord Esteban himself, we have an entire line of adventurer's garb that is exactly what you're looking for. We could that's generally a little bit more rough and tumble, a little bit more common, but as Lord Esteban is a man of great style, some of his lines. I don't know that red is really your color, though. We'll have to kind of workshop some things. But yeah, I'm certain that we can come up. You need this when? By the gala. You're attending the Baron's gala. Lord Esteban's invitation arrived just 3 days ago, I believe. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. It'll be a rush job. It'll cost a bit more, but we can certainly work on that for you. And we have it delivered. And where exactly is it that you're staying? So on and so forth. You get through all of that.
Sure.
And yeah, so it will be the equivalent. It's not going to add to your armor class beyond what your normal armor would. But if you were wearing just this instead of your breastplate, it would be the equivalent of like a leather armor.
Okay.
So like an armor class 8, I think, is light armor, and it provides maybe a +2 to your armor class.
Sure. AC 11.
Yeah, so there you go.
Plus Dex. Okay.
So then, okay, yeah. I have trouble thinking outside of the different editions. We started, this was 2nd edition, and it was flat across the board, armor class 8, and you're trying to go down your armor class. But
right.
Yeah, so whatever it says for leather armor in the player's handbook, that's effectively what you're going to be getting. But it's essentially just very, very sturdy, very light armor.
Right. Yeah. Better than
man,
nothing.
is it going to look good?
Yeah, that's the point, right?
Yeah. Okay, great. So that will cover your jaunt out to Mauricio's, unless there's something else specifically that you want to talk through.
On our way there, I'll just. I'm not a conversation starter, but I will say, what have you been to Heliogopolis before? I mean, I've only been there the one time, the last time we were here with that race. That was a travesty.
I'm sorry, who are you talking to there?
Alanere. Talking to Alanere.
Got it.
On the way there.
I mean, I've only been to Heliogopolis. I've been with the group. So
Are you talking specifically about the castle?
No, I'm just talking about the city.
Oh, because you're in that city.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but I've only been here one other time. The last time was with that.
Twice. You came through. The last time you came through with Eldrick, you spent some time at his house or his parents' house. And it was a short trip, but it was as you were passing down from Bloodstone Valley down through to head southeast out of the country to head to Symbian. And then
That was with the dragon missile.
that was that whole journey was with the dragon missile.
Okay.
And then the last time you were here was was with was right after the debacle on the Overmind. You came back here and spent a few days, and then left out to go to the Underdark eventually.
I mean, you're pretty close with the royals in this kingdom, right? So, I mean, do you frequent this area?
I mean, I'm going to say I'm close to the royals. I've pretty much been in the same druid circle with the queen most of my life. As far as not really mingling with the royals per se.
Oh, I misunderstood. I don't really understand druidic circles. Is it like a clan or like a family?
It's kind of like that. But we more or less, we are raw druids in the service of nature, and normally circles are groups in general areas. We're all working for a common cause.
Right. You're. I'll let that die for a little bit, and then kind of think about it. So you're part of that is. I mean, you gather information for her, right? Is that part of what your circle does?
My job is a little different than the rest of the circle. I was more or less chosen to work for her in this capacity. This is not normally what druids do. Normally we tend to the lands, things like that. Generally speaking, politics of nobles, infiltrating adventuring groups. That's kind of outside the normal purvey of our responsibilities. Although it has given me quite the opportunity to get out and deal with more, should I say, wider spread issues of the natural cycle that I would deal with in just the smaller areas that we tend to I guess to say that we normally tend to. So
Okay. And Thoros'l doesn't really have anything else. He's maybe pondering what that means.
Thoros'l, you say you owe Eldrick a debt. What do you plan on doing after that debt's been paid?
Well, I've got the man who did what was done to my daughter is still alive. And you know that. That needs to be fixed. But maybe a little bit before that, so I've got time. Thoros'l's followers that are apparently in this kingdom, I plan on removing them.
Just making some notes here.
I
Future
mean,
campaign ideas.
the truth of the matter is that Thoros'l is going to be coming for my daughter, and if I can weaken her in any way, then I'll be doing that first. Solemn will get his day. I've already waited this long.
I'm more than willing to help eradicate the followers of Yanzali, because he's bad news. We don't need her kind of unnaturalness in our lands. Quite frankly, anywhere.
It's a worthy goal. If we can eradicate all of them, then it should keep Sophia safe for a time. That's it. That's my plans. At least for the next 20 or so years.
I do have to ask, what's it really like living that long?
The more days that pass, I guess, the more they seem the same. If that makes sense.
I must admit that's been one aspect of my disguise that I have not ever really fully been able to grasp, is how long elves actually live. What that actually seems like. Despite appearances, I'm no older than Eldrick.
I remember that. I guess I didn't realize how young you were. And how long have you been part of your circle then? If you've been doing so much for the queen.
Oh, let's see. I believe it was the. Oh, what's that guy's? I was actually but a boy, and my family was killed in the war with Zangi. It was during that war with Zangi, about a decade ago, that I was found by a kindly druid and more or less brought into the circle.
That seems long enough for human folk.
Bells start to ring out, signaling the hour. As you guys have kind of been riding through or walking through the city, you're not on horse. Been kind of walking through the city, and you've kind of lost a little bit of track of time after having gone all the way up to the ride district on foot and then come back again. You're realizing now doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, because where your infravision leaves off, the lamplighters have been very active within the city, so the city doesn't really get all that dark at the ground level, but you can see that the sun has in fact set as you've been kind of having this conversation, and it is ringing the 7th hour of the evening.
Oh, I imagine I'm heading back towards the Bloodstone Arms for a meal, whatever it's called here,
Yeah.
evening meal.
I would agree. We're probably on our way back there.
Some gold encrusted filet mignon with side of
diamonds.
yes,
platinum diamond sauce.
Yeah.
All right, so we will end tonight's episode back with Eldrick. Eldrick, after your mad flight away from the confluence of the gates at the Purse, Coinholm, and Palace Hill district, Lars and Kemet don't slow you down until you're safely, 6-8 blocks away from the spot of the attack. Yeah, they're very efficient. They're very good at what they do. You, being a military man yourself, you can imagine if they don't have some kind of military service in their past, you would be very, very surprised. They seem they're older than you are by a pretty good margin. They're probably late 20s, early 30s, if not a little bit older than that. And they are entirely no nonsense. It's unless you are physically dragging them to a stop, they just take you and go.
Nope. Eldrick knows how having guards works. You listen to what they're telling you to do.
Yeah. So you're actually getting pretty close to the Bloodstone arms by the time that they slow you down and essentially stop you and kind of pull you off of the street. And okay, so we need to talk about what happened back there. This is Kemet again. We need to talk about exactly what happened back there. Did you see anything? Did you see where the attack came from? Did you notice anything out of place?
Just this, and he'll hold up the note or the paper that was tied to the crossbow bolt.
Lars reaches for it and kind of takes it from you and looks it over and is like, well, that's a bit unsettling. Can we ask, who knows you're here besides your mother, a few dozen people we talked to today? It was my understanding that your presence in the city was not quite common knowledge yet. You're kind of still kind of cantering toward Oakhart as this conversation is going on, but it's a little bit more relaxed than it was.
I mean, certainly the owner of the Bloodstone Arms, the merchants we spoke to today. My companions, certainly. The Church of Ilmater knows. The Order of the Golden Cup is aware, has been made aware.
Do you believe that any of these parties might have reason to see you dead, or stopped, as it were?
No, I do not.
Do you believe that any member of the Church of Ilmater may have something against you?
Not any that are still in power that I'm aware of.
Kemet,
there was an incident where a member of my order sent me on a let's say questionably authentic mission, but he was relieved of his duties.
I hesitate to. First, let me say I apologize for immediately jumping to the idea that it was the church. I know that the church is important to you, and it's a big part of who you are. But the Church of the Mater has somewhat become erratic in the city of late. I don't know if you've heard some of the things that have happened.
I don't think I have. Do tell.
Well, there are a number of personalities within the church who this is all mostly rumor, but guards hear things. There was. Are you familiar, or you've heard of the contest, the games that happened a few months back, the birth of this guild, this adventurers guild?
Yes.
Well, there was a delegation from the Church of Ilmater that participated in those games and were responsible for a truly atrocious attack on the city during those games. They say that they were part of the Church of Ilmater, that the church themselves is decrying their acts, but I know a soldier that was there, and he recognized the ringleader of this attack, or the person responsible for the actual attack, and swears that it was the caretaker of the asylum, the previous caretaker of the asylum. Burned a whole lot of people to death and nearly caught the entire Purse District on fire. All to make some kind of statement, and we're not even really sure that no one really can really say what that statement was. Just and then there's this business with the sanitarium itself. It's just the church.
Yeah, we heard about that earlier. The Weeping Peace, was it?
Peace of the Weeping God. Yeah. You recognize the Peace of the Weeping God as that is where someone very close to you grew up.
Will?
Yes. It was a sanitarium / orphanage. I say was because it's not there anymore, as of fairly recently. The grounds, and Kemet will explain to you that there's some kind of... The government hasn't released a whole lot of actual information to the people, but again, heard something, a friend of a friend said that they're keeping people away from the ruins because apparently something happened underneath and the whole area is unstable, but the building itself is gone. Collapsed on itself.
Interesting.
Someone said that was that there was some kind of battle inside the sanitarium itself, or some kind of magical ritual or something that happened, and yeah, again, a lot of people died. So the church and the state are somewhat at odds of late. Now the church is saying that it has nothing to do with the true faith of Ilmater, that it's all this angels heretical sect, but who's really to know if that's the truth? Pardon my saying so, Baron.
No offense taken.
If you don't, I'm just saying all that to say, just be careful who you trust in the city. It's well, as you've seen today, it's a little bit of a madhouse of late.
It does seem that I've returned to my home in quite a disarray. And I don't just mean the city. If the rumors are to be believed about Morov, there's something going on there as well that is quite disconcerting.
Well, I apologize, sir. I don't know any more about that. I haven't heard any more than just rumors on the street. But
no, certainly. Hey, looks like we are not far from the Bloodstone Arms. Mayhaps we might stop in there for a quick minute so I can see if my friends are there.
We're at your disposal, sir. Whatever you say.
Excellent.
I think we're far enough away. Perhaps ducking in out of the crowd for a bit is for the better. Maybe throw off. Not saying that there's anyone pursuing, but if there were, then being closer to your companions, not something I'm terribly upset about.
You and me both, my friend. If I might have that back.
Lars hands it back over to you.
Excellent. I'll shove it in a bag or something. Might have my wizard friend take a look at it, see if they can ascertain anything. Onward.
All right.
So we'll head to the Bloodstone Arms and
a few quick
see
minutes
if
later.
anybody's there.
A few quick minutes later, and you pull up at the Bloodstone Arms. Lars will handle having the horses taken care of, and Kemet will escort you inside. You are arriving maybe minutes before Alanere and Thoros'l. As you're walking through the door, perhaps, the 7th bell will ring. And so, a few minutes after that, Alanere and Thoros'l will come in through the door. Lazar, now on watch behind the bar. Master Thoros'l. After having, he will greet you, Eldrick. He will, recognizing you immediately. The Baron, Baron Oks. So good of you to come back and visit us once again. We are once again, let me say that we are very appreciative of your patronage.
Absolutely.
The usual niceties. Inviting you to, if you're here for dinner, then dinner is just about to be served.
Eldrick will thank him, but he is engaged with dinner elsewhere this evening.
Understood. Well, we hope that you will think of us again. About this time, Thoros'l and Alanere walk through the door, and not to put too fine a point on it, but he kind of turns his attention from you and your guests to Thoros'l and Alanere as they come in. Master Thoros'l, message arrived for you within the hour.
Oh, okay.
And he hands it over to you, and it is from Pardik. It very simply reads, I lost my note. What does it read? It reads,
Shop at Mauricio's.
Reads, Starry Night Tavern, 10th bell, or at your convenience. Dinner? ? Pardik.
Well, it seems I have dinner plans too. Do you remember Pardik, Wolfswift? I'll ask
Indeed.
Elder.
Indeed.
He's in town.
That is unfortunate, I guess.
We'll see. He helped us out quite a bit before.
He did, but then his father framed me for murder, so I would have him on the keep a close eye on him list. Not that you've ever not kept a close eye on anybody you were within 10 feet of.
I guess so. Well, I just... We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. Did you get an invitation to your... I don't know. Soiree?
I did not.
You can always +1 him, Thoros'l.
I could.
Always +1 him.
Be +1 longsword him.
Are Makaria and Sprout about?
Sprout has yet to return. I haven't seen him since yesterday morning. I haven't seen Makaria since leaving your place either. Last night.
Interesting. We might want to check her room. We might all head up that way. There is something we need to discuss before we break up for the evening.
For the sake of expediency, and because I want to cover that and not have to come back to it next session, Makaria, we will say that you got started at about 7 o'clock this morning, and so you are probably wrapping up your ritual about now. So at the time that they come up, you could be available if you like. If not, that's okay too, but it's entirely up to you. It is 10 after, so if we want to keep going for a little bit longer, that is entirely up to you guys. I'm happy to keep the thing going. I just know it's been a busy week for some folks, and if you guys want to call it here, we can do that and pick up next week. But I leave that entirely up to you guys. This is your game.
I need to head out, unfortunately.
Okay.
Then we can do this next time.
Okay. So then we'll go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Before we stop, as you're having a conversation, as Eldrick and Thoros'l are having their little conversation, excuse me, a red-haired man, kind of long, stocky, maybe about 5'6", who appears to be hovering kind of near Eldrick. Red hair, long about to his shoulders, a big bushy kind of goatee, but no other facial hair. standing next to a much taller man, probably in the vicinity of about 6'1", 6'2", considerably lankier, also with red hair, but a little bit cropped, a little bit shorter, and a big bushy mustache, who's standing very, very close to Eldrick. The smaller one turns to you, Alanere, and says, "You are part of the Baron's retinue, yes? You're the ambassador?"
Yes, I am.
Ambassador, there's something that you and I need to discuss with regards to an attack on the Baron's person this evening. Can we have a quick conversation?
Yes, of course.
Well, he will explain the situation to you, that there was an attack on Eldrick. He was shot at. Fortunately, he was only grazed. There was a strange message that was attached to the missile that struck him. And they've come back here because Eldrick wanted to be in the company of his companions for a few moments, for his safety. So you should be aware that there may be someone out there that wants to kill Eldrick, effectively.
Well, sadly, that is not news to me.
Well, if there's any information that you can provide to us to make our jobs a little bit easier in protecting him, then we would very much appreciate any information that you could share. As we are tasked by the Lady Oaks with keeping her bouncing baby boy alive and unharmed, and we take that job very, very seriously, as I'm sure you have as well.
Of course. In fact, I even warned Eldrick just yesterday that he should really up his security. But that's neither here nor there.
One little crossbow bolt and everybody gets uppity.
I wish I actually had any form of details to actually give you on who exactly might be after him, but unfortunately, I don't.
Well, if you think of anything, or anything comes to light that you think would benefit us in our task as his security detail, we appreciate if you share that information. My name is Lars Narble. My brother Kemet and I are assigned to the Baron, and we'll be sure to be with him anytime that he is outside of Oakhart Manor, which after today I doubt will be again, at least for some time.
Well, Lars, I would definitely keep that in mind, and if anything at all comes to mind or comes to light in the future, I will definitely let you know.
Very much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. I will
Welcome.
allow you. I've taken too much of your time already. I will allow you to return to your own business.
All right.
That is where we will go ahead and drop for tonight. We have a clear place to pick up next week for episode 12. I had a great time tonight. I hope you guys did too. A lot of cool things happen. A lot of story progression. We will we'll see what happens next Tuesday. To all of you who are out there that are watching, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're interested in more Bloodstone, check our YouTube. I'll put the link in the chat for the stream. There's also always lively discussion in our Discord, which is also in the chat now. If you're interested in more, join us next Tuesday. All of our previous episodes, this being episode 11, all of our previous episodes, including the 5 pre-stream episodes that we did before we started streaming this, are on our YouTube. You can find those under the Bloodstone playlist. On Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, we do League of Legends ARAMs with our viewers. So if you're interested in that, you can join us for those as well. Cast, thank you guys. I can't thank you enough. This was a great session. I very much enjoyed it. Very much appreciate you guys. The viewers out there, you guys too, very much appreciate you. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you on Thursday for more ARAM Apocalypse action, and then again next Tuesday for more Bloodstone. Good night.
Nighters.